Star Wars The Clone Wars Season 7, Episode 10 is here. I want to break down this episode and talk to you about why I think this is one of the greatest things in Star Wars, period. What's up, everybody? It's Josh. Welcome back to the channel. Smash that like button and let's get right into this. Now, I talked about this episode earlier today on the morning stream. It's a live stream we do over on our live streaming channel every day, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You should really be there. It's a really good time. And I felt like it was a really good breakdown that I did during that live stream, so I'm going to show you a clip from the live stream right now. Again, spoiler warning. Spoiler warning, folks. We're getting into some talk here. Pause the music, chat. I can't even. No. This requires my full attention, full focus. Look, slight spoiler warning if you haven't seen the episode. Okay, so you might want to get on out of here if you hadn't seen the episode 10, Season 7, The Clone Wars. I've been pretty critical of The Clone Wars this last season. It hasn't been doing it for me. We were under the impression that these last 4 episodes were really going to be where the good stuff is. Looks to be the case, man. Last week's episode was a major step up from what we had seen. Going into this episode, we heard a lot of buzz online. Sam Witwer teased a lot of different things. He streams on Twitch, actually. He streams video games over on Twitch. During one of his streams, he was sort of teasing out some stuff for the episode. He's tweeted, I believe, that this is maybe some of the most epic stuff they've ever done in Star Wars was taking place at the end of this season of the Clone Wars. There are different people that are involved in Lucasfilm just hyping up this episode, okay? And so going into it, you were like, okay, I'm expecting something pretty epic, right? Holy crap, did this episode deliver. This is, once again, one of the most special moments in Star Wars, period. Period. Dave Filoni, once again, delivers a moment of Star Wars that is just one of the best, period. I will come back to this episode often. I will rewatch this episode often. When conversations come up with friends about what are some of the most epic moments in Star Wars, period, this episode will come up. Something else really struck me as this episode ended and the credits came up. When you see created by George Lucas pop up on the screen. I think one of the reasons people love Filoni so much, I think one of the reasons people stan Filoni so much is because he is so reverent of George and of what George did and what George created and just how epic and important it is to different people. It's really special, man. And so I really, really love the reverence that Filoni gives to George. And you could just feel him playing off of what George has done in a really special way. I think one of the most interesting things about this episode is that Maul is having an existential crisis. He's having an existential crisis. His plan is revealed to actually be bringing Kenobi and Skywalker to Mandalore. That's the whole reason he actually invades and starts this up again. And the whole reason he did this is because he saw a vision of Skywalker becoming the apprentice and the tool and the key to everything for Darth Sidious, his old master. The plan was to bring Skywalker there and destroy him, to deprive the Emperor of a key piece in conquering the galaxy. And it's really cool. You can see him unhinged. You can see him making these realizations, constantly looking up into the stars, thinking about the things that he has seen, thinking about how he was played, thinking about how Dooku was played. It's really fascinating stuff. Upon realizing that it's not Kenobi and it's not Skywalker, he interrogates one of the clones in order to find out more about Ahsoka. Because at this point, he's never met Ahsoka. He doesn't really know much about her. They have a lot of mutual friends, though. I thought that part was kind of funny. And so he's discovering how powerful Ahsoka is. Ahsoka is very powerful. I think she grows in power too. There's a lot of speculation about how strong is Ahsoka the White. I hope we get to see. I hope we get to find out. My gut tells me she's very powerful. Very powerful. Ahsoka is this close to joining with Maul to destroy Darth Sidious. How crazy would that shit have been, right? Oh my God. Crazy. There's one question that Ahsoka has before she's willing to join with Maul. What did you want with Anakin Skywalker? What did you want with him? And then when Maul reveals that his plan is to destroy Skywalker, that Skywalker has been groomed to be the apprentice of Darth Sidious for a long, long time. Ahsoka, in a way, defending Anakin's honor, lights up her sabers and says, "No way, bro. No way." And then they start an absolutely epic lightsaber fight. Now, this had been teased. Certain people that had seen the episode had teased this online, saying that this could potentially be not only one of the best lightsaber fights in the Clone Wars, but in Star Wars, period. And I think they might be right. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. It was animated incredibly well. Especially just the way that Ahsoka, her sabers were sort of blurring as she was spinning around, as she was fighting, as she was doing all of this sort of stuff. It was pretty incredible. Super epic fight. She comments at one point, like, "You're lucky that Anakin's not here, because if you were fighting like this, you wouldn't have lasted long." A little bit of a dig for sure. But Ahsoka's a very good lightsaber duelist. One of the best. One of the best ever. I found that aspect to be so interesting. In general, the episode's ties to Revenge of the Sith really gave me the feels. And they were leveraged properly. It was really interesting the way it happened. There's some scenes with Obi-Wan where Kenobi is talking about what the Council suspects of Darth Sidious. He also reveals that he's not very happy that Anakin killed Dooku because Dooku could have told them more about Sidious. It's so interesting how it's playing off what happened in the prequels. And you guys know, if you're a stout follower of the content, that I recently did a video all about my prequels rewatch. I rewatched all the prequels, and I found a lot of really interesting things in those movies. I really love those movies. It is really interesting that Dooku even name-dropped Sidious in Attack of the Clones. It almost doesn't make sense. My belief in, and I went over this in the video, is that I think Dooku was trying, and Sidious really, was trying to divide the Jedi Order, to get some of them to join with the Separatists, because they were under the belief that the Republic was being manipulated by a Sith Lord. You know what I mean? It's really, really interesting. We get to see, as events in Revenge of the Sith are going on, what's going on Mandalore with Ahsoka and her conversations with Kenobi. It's really, really interesting. She talks about how Anakin is tasked to spy on the Chancellor. Ahsoka talks about how obviously that would be something Anakin would not like. It's really interesting. If the Jedi really suspected that Sidious had created the clone army and was playing both sides in the war, it's really weird that they would just keep on the path that they were on. It's almost like the only way I can make sense of it is if they thought they could just thwart that plan anyways. You know what I mean? Like they were like, oh yeah, no, this is probably what's happening, but we can just step in when the time is right and defeat him. Arrogance. Again, arrogance by the Jedi. So interesting. I think one of the reasons this episode is so good is because of the tragic elements. Tragedy is a theme that just works. There's a reason that tragedy and tragic stories are very popular, and they keep people captivated. They give you all these interesting feelings. I guess the tragedy here is that Maul is right about Anakin. Maul has seen a vision and is 1,000% correct about who Anakin is and how he's being manipulated and what he will do. And Ahsoka is wrong. Her faith in Anakin is misplaced. She wants to get up and defend his honor, but she's wrong. That's the tragedy. I think basically the prequels, all of them, they're a tragedy because we know Vader will fall. We know it's going to happen, and we're watching his descent. We're kind of like slowly watching him descend. And the thing that's really interesting is Dave plays off of all of this stuff in Rebels. At the end of the second season in Rebels, Maul and Ahsoka meet up again. Kanan and Ezra are there as well, and Maul is once again trying to undercut the Emperor, and he realizes he needs help to defeat Darth Vader. He's 100% sure he can't beat Vader on his own. And it's crazy because Ahsoka and Vader finally show down in that moment. And what's crazy is it will mirror back to this moment on Malachor, where she stood up for his honor. And like there has to be a realization there that she was wrong and Maul was right. And I just love how it comes into full circle in Star Wars Rebels. That's what Star Wars is. That's the brilliance of Star Wars, is that it's this circular, mythic storytelling. So I got to tell you, man, as a Star Wars fan, though I have been very critical of this last season of the Clone Wars, and this episode does not take away all of the things that I had a problem with the filler episodes, with the lack of episodes, with the way they marketed it. I have to tell you, this was potentially worth all of that turmoil to get to something like this. This was brilliant. If the last two episodes are anything like this, when I think back to this season of the Clone Wars, I will only think of this. I'm not going to think of Trace. I'm not going to think of the redone episodes that we already saw in 2015. I'm going to think of the deeply tragic elements to this story, the unhinged nature of Maul, Sam Witwer's incredible performance, how all of these different pieces are pulling together, creating a deeper, more rich experience for Star Wars fans when you think back to these moments in the story. I think this is why I stand Dave Filoni so hard, because he has done this specific thing over and over and over again. He has created moments in the lore outside of the films that both enrich the experience of the films and create an incredibly memorable moment outside of the films. I think that's why people want him to be in charge of Lucasfilm. Not just because of his reverence for George, but because his work enriches George's work. It enriches. And it also creates its own unique experience, which in most scenarios tends to be very deep and very satisfying. This was an incredible episode. I can't wait to see where we go from here. And I think there are these things, when you get this sort of goodness, it just reminds you of all the things and the reasons that you love Star Wars. And it's like, I want more of this. I want more of this. I want this dude's fingerprints all over more stuff. I think that this is something that could potentially help Star Wars as a brand, help the fan base, and just give us really good stuff. So, guys, that's my gush. That's my gushing. about this episode, man. It was truly epic. Truly epic. So I hope you enjoyed that little breakdown that we did on the stream. Now, I was asked by some people later in that stream if I felt like these episodes at the end that are very high quality make up for sort of the lackluster seventh season in general, and I actually do not. I do not believe that. I think overall, no matter how good the next two episodes are, the Lucasfilm really dropped the ball with the Clone Wars in a lot of different ways. Now, I'm not going to like permanently hold it against them and scorn them and hate them for it, but frankly, yeah, like it was bad. Like this was not a good last season. I think they misrepresented what it even meant to bring the Clone Wars back, and I'm personally disappointed with them as a fan. But that's one thing, and the other thing is just the quality of these episodes. So I really love the quality of these episodes, and I'm very happy that we've got them. So just wanted to kind of clarify that and put that into the end. And of course, I want to know your thoughts about this. What do you think about this 10th episode of Season 7? Are you very excited for what comes next? And what about your feelings about this last season of the Clone Wars? Do you think these last episodes being so good makes up for the lack of quality for the other episodes? What are your thoughts on that? Let me know in the comments section below. And now I want to shout out Dark Dan of the Sith. Yes, indeed, Hugo Damask was the real name of Darth Plagueis in Legends. So shout out to you, Dark Dan of the Sith. And now let's ask another nerd card question before we get out of here. I want to know what character from Solo, a Star Wars story, made an appearance in this episode. And it's obviously not Darth Maul. It's not who I'm talking about. There was another character from the Solo movie that made an appearance in this episode. What character am I talking about? Let me know in the comments section below. If you absolutely need more nerdy content in your life, you can click or tap over there to get lost down a nerdy rabbit hole on some of our content. Like this video if you liked it, or if you want to take your support to the next level, consider joining the list of awesome people you see below and checking out our Patreon for some behind-the-scenes content. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.